Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
It's nice to be here. Thank you. Okay, let me first of all say thank you for having me. I think that the first army that was created in the world was created in the year 1501 or thereabout. And it's still a standing army till today. I've gone so far to let you on to try and bring to all our attention why do nations even have armies. It's first of all to protect external aggression of their territorial space and to ensure that what constitutes the law is rigidly enforced. And any nation that allows itself to get to such a level where the army of that nation can run into the level of attack, killing, maiming, and what have you that took place recently in that environment has to understand that it is running the risk that it will implode. The total number of people that live in any country, Nigeria being 200 and something million, does not give us the luxury not to have what you call a firm hand in doing show of force. And for that reason, I think the leaders of the country, the civilian authority now, and the leaders of the Nigerian Armed Forces must be very, very determined to ensure that they respect the fear and the general capacity of an army to discipline people is not lost. So I expect them to do what is called a proper show of force in that environment. And by show of force, I don't mean they should go and do OD, but I mean that the rules of engagement of an armed forces is clear. The high command of the Nigerian army must be exceedingly upset and angry about this, and the troops must be rallied to understand that there is nothing like carelessness in engaging any opportunity, be it peace or be it coercive power of the state. Because you have to ask, how did they run into such an ambush? How did they get killed? What kind of army would do that? Is that an insurrection? Is it that that environment is so lawless that citizens of that environment will have no fear of the authority that must be feared to such a point that they will do it on that scale? And if we do not really punish them there, then how do we then prevent other people from other areas from getting emboldened to take on the armed forces? And if they start taking on the armed forces of your country, then how do you then ensure that you don't implode the country? And if you allow your country to be imploded, are you now going to be a nation that will be hijacked by thugs, miscreants, and whatever stupid names they call themselves? It's most unfortunate. I wish that Almighty God will comfort the family of the people they left behind, and the ones that are dead in our parlance, may their soul rest in peace. But I think that any commander-in-chief that is not exceedingly angry about this nonsense is not worthy of being called the commander-in-chief. As for the kidnapping and all that, I think that I've given it a lot of thought. In my very clear opinion, personal to me, the state governments are the most guilty of a failure to understand what their own first-line responsibilities are. I think that because of the nature of the world and the numerous ability to share information and access all sorts of information, states can no longer afford not to profile and know the people that are living within their own spaces. And there is nothing in the law of the Constitutional Federal Republic of Nigeria that says that you cannot know and profile and identify and account for everybody within your space. There's nothing in the law of Nigeria that says that you cannot have a biometric capture of the people in your space to a verifiable address such that you can always go back and know who done what and, track and find them. I think that we should not allow ourselves to be so scared of how authority may be abused in the hands of those that have been given authority to such a point that we will not now have state policing. There is a standard number of police you need as first responders to cover a population. You cannot normalize explaining special task force for everything in the country. You need to regularize and normalize the fact that in every other society in the world, the police is the first responder on everything crime. And they're the ones that are supposed to be able to, come in there, take the people, prevent the crime, arrest them, and all of that. And we're running the risk that we have allowed carelessness to convert crime into a financial industry that a lot of people are profiting from. Those who are doing it are profiting from it. Those who are providing the logistics for them to do it are profiting from it. Those who are their patrons and sympathizers are profiting from it. And even those who are told to go and get them are profiting from it. And it's a clear sign of a failed environment. And I think that it's not a problem that can be solved only with kinetic or non-kinetic. No, you need a complete remarketing, re-imaging, reorientating, recalibrating the country. And you can't do that without finding roles for, one, the presidency in its responsibilities as commander-in-chief, the governors as the second layer of subnational, the local government chairmen as the ones that are the closest tier of government to the people, the traditional rulers as the representation of the historical past and the relics of our history and who we are, the spiritual leaders and all of that. A nation, no matter how much people want to practice their faith, so long as they're going to live in the world with us, they cannot be allowed to practice their faith in such a way that the entire environment is now going to combust. Therefore, nobody is going to be allowed underneath the guise of wanting to serve God to now begin to make life of those that God has created uneasy.
Yeah, I'm glad you have at once touched on the question of.
Well, see, I have asked often from those who believe very heavily in the need for a new constitution. Yes. And I have tried to ask that, what exactly are they saying? In one breath, I get the often spoken word that the constitution that said we the people was not by we the people, that it was by the soldiers who were trying to leave. And that I get the romanticizing of the idea of going back to the region, the regional system of government. But what I always say to us is that we must never insist that the journey of nationhood is only looking at the past and desiring the past that we hated while it was in play. Therefore, I'm saying that the structure we run now, bar one or two extra powers to be given to states, is not on its own bad. I get that people say the federal system that the Americans are presidential system is expensive, but I've also said often that if it is expensive, you can cut down the monies you are paying yourself. That's a lot easier. You can always make up and say, okay, this is we're paying ourselves ₦1 million from going forward, we're paying ourselves 100 naira. It stops being expensive. And I've also said that I've looked at our contraptions, and I have not seen us as governors, for instance, do equity in our spaces. And therefore, it becomes a lot riskier for me to believe that you who cannot do equity with very little is asking to do equity with a lot more. There's no state in Nigeria where the one that the population, the tribe or the zones or or the senatorial district that has the largest population is not loading it on the other. And then when you now want to create them into maybe the former parliamentary arrangement, how do you even unbundle the 6 states now? We had it with 3 regions. We saw what happened. Some bad doctor, Showunmi. Which you can tell, okay, maybe let's even for your own audience, we can even do doctor, or you can do Otumba. One will be good. I don't care
I
about things.
understand you are bilingual, you speak French,
No, I speak German, I speak English, I speak Lebanon, I speak quite a few languages. Kannst du Deutsch sprechen?
No.
The capacity to negotiate within the zones has become a lot more increased, which is the reason why people like Yoruba people can even say they can be president. Otherwise, it would have just been anything Kanu wants. That's what we want. Even now, we're still dealing with that. So I feel that we are not getting the Nigeria we all want based on three things. The first is that Nigerians are an extremely hopeful people, and they are hopefully in a hurry. There's nothing wrong with that. They want what they want it like now, 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 now. It's not bad, but the flip side of that conversation is that it doesn't allow them to see how much growth we have made. And by that I mean, you can just go through our states and our local government and see how many new houses we've built, and see how many new roads, and see how many new, schools and all of that. It's not enough, but we cannot look at it as if there's nothing there. But because we are very hopeful people now, we tend not to see even the little incrementals we're making. That's a problem there. The other thing that I see with us is that we are a nation of zero consequence in leadership. And that's our biggest undoing, in my opinion. You see, humans, by their very nature, would not need laws and have no need for government if they on their own will act right and behave well. But they can't. No society has ever run on people just acting right and behaving well. So we started creating laws, rules, and regulation and government as a precursor and the bearer of consequence. If you commit a crime, they'll say if you can't do the crime, don't do the time. All of these are all ideas to let us understand that if you don't have consequences, people will just do whatever they want. So tell me, why will we now be a nation of Nigeria, wishing and hoping to be great, and then relieve our leaders with zero consequence for their actions and inactions? So you find out that here, whatever it is that we're calling anti-corruption is just like a joke. It's like we just figure out, oh, we're not happy with Ngozi, we'll put down the president of anti-corruption. Oh, we're happy with Akim, and therefore he can get away with murder. That's not how to really get us to get that country we need. We need to make sure that the consequences are very clear. People should not govern and leave the place as if they are the inheritors of Solomon, and we will not be interested in knowing how did you become so rich just by being in charge of our commonwealth. People should not run a chaotic arrangement in their place, killing their people and doing all of those things that we know, because they are all surrounded by DSS people and security agencies, and we should pretend as if it doesn't matter. People should not lead the country in presidency, get off from the presidency, devalue our currency, make us a sorry sight, even in front of ourselves and by our own normal gargantuan ego, and there will be no consequence. And because we have become a nation of zero consequence over the years, you can see that we are now a nation of everything goes. We are so poor. We're extremely indebted. They're piling the consequence, their own irresponsibility and the shirking of their responsibility they're putting on the citizens. And because the citizens are a little bit helpless, you can see that it's okay for them to come and tell us that, oh, they borrowed money, they did it, they did that, they don't know what they did with it. Because of that, they're going to increase the price of fuel. And when they then increase the price of fuel, oh, they said that some people are smuggling. Am I the one smuggling? Are you the one smuggling? Who the hell is smuggling? Is there any nation that doesn't deal with smuggling? Don't nations know that when people are smuggling, they're supposed to put a structure in place that can prevent that? But no, they're not going to do that. Rather than that, they're going to put the burden on you and I. Oh, our currency is somebody has gone to take money that he has spent that we can't even understand what he did with it. What are they going to do? They're going to devalue our currency. And they are not able to see that by a constant neoliberal policy of devaluation, what they are doing is that we will all work, the hardworking ones among us, the people that do just the small things and manage to put up some value, will just come in one swoop of the pen, fiam, will wipe away all their value, will make them poorer than they were, and then they're going to kind of like literally be starting again. Any nation that cannot retain its own saving value will just be struggling. So I think that we are coming to a point now where we have to look ourselves straight in the eyes and tell ourselves that what exactly is that hope that democracy was meant to give? And I like to say it this way. Democracy for me is the greatest creation of man to shuffle the deck so that the children of the others can also have a right to say, here we are. If we now begin to sell our votes and normalize only allowing rich people or the children of the rich to suddenly be the only ones that can lead, then there's no point having democracy. It would have been better for us to either stick with the military rule or some kind of dictatorship, because then there will be no need for the shuffling of the deck. But we shuffle the deck so that your child and my child can come before the people and say they want to lead. But if I have, assuming, and it's not necessarily, I'm just using me as an example, if I have all the money because of my previous show around the till of the country of governance, and then I then take all of that money, and then your own child, who has watched his father work very diligently just to put him through school, now comes to the point where we have to do an election, and your child is already disadvantaged, not because he doesn't have numbers, but because the numbers that were supposed to help him have also chosen to sell their vote. It's really a catastrophe, and I think that all persons of goodwill in this country who really understand what we're doing and what we need to do, we all need to be on the same page telling people that, no, it's not worth it. Take money from them before elections, because if they want to trade about, take it. But when it comes to the point of that election, when it comes to us deciding what are we going to do, we need to be telling ourselves, no, we're not doing this. We need to be punishing them with our votes. We need to be making sure that we don't normalize a situation where a president is president, his children are now acting as if we are in a monarchy. This is not normal. And it's only with us here that we're doing it on a scale that is unacceptable. Before anybody comes and starts telling me it happens in America, yes, it does. But in those other areas, the scale is not so much. If Obama was a Nigerian, at the rate at which we're running our democracy, he would never have been president here. And there should be no reason why that can be here. So I think that if we work very hard, if we continue to normalize speaking, if we continue to inspire our people, if we continue to beg them, if we continue to tell the poor that, oh, people of Nigeria, those of us that are not as rich as them, we're not each other's enemy. There's no knife in the hands of an Igbo man that wants to kill a Yoruba man and vice versa. There's no knife in the hands of a Hausa man that wants to kill an Igbo man and vice versa. It's just that we have allowed ourselves to be manipulated by their greed to give us the impression that we are each other's enemy. Whereas the real sense is that they are our collective enemies, because the little responsibility that we have given them in democracy by our votes and the manipulation of same by the people that are helping them to manipulate, whom are also our brothers and sisters, is to our own disadvantage. And democracy was created painstakingly in the world to avoid such an error, or to normalize, like I said, the shoving of the deck.
Right. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. This is a very brief question, and thank you for asking me. I've said to us, to myself privately, that the first thing we have to do now in this country is that we need to do a double-blind survey, a poll, double-blind in languages and all that, to ascertain precisely what do we all want. So that when we do that survey, in English, in Pidgin, in Yoruba and all that, we'll know the priorities of the Nigerian. Maybe they will say, we may think that their priority is housing, and their priority might be food. We may think that their priority is food, their priority might be education. We may think that their priority is education, and it may be security. If we bring back the result of double blind means they don't even know who has ordered the survey. What we're going to see is that it's going to show us the first set of issues that concern all Nigerians. Once we have created that set of issues that concern all Nigerians, we are now going to sit down and create the solution based on the fact that that is what the majority of us want. When we have that solution, we're going to design that solution in such a way that the government knows what is its own responsibility in making us have that Nigeria of our dream. The citizens know what is their own duties and obligation in that Nigeria of our dream. And then all of us can timeline, get ready, set, and go. That's number one. Number two, I feel that it is becoming increasingly hard to explain to a citizen of this country what is in it for him. I hear when they say, don't ask what is in it for your country. But those countries who were saying that they had already put a few things in it for their citizens. We have not even produced anything in it for the Nigerian citizen. There is nothing the Nigerian citizen gets as of right from his government. That has to stop. We need to determine for ourselves what is the minimum safety net that this Nigerian nation is going to guarantee to its citizen. And you don't need to tell me it's expensive because it's not. Nations create their own currency. If you create your own currency based on the fact that your people are going to have something to allow them to participate in decent living, you will only expand your economy. No nation should be happy that it cannot feed itself. Now, if you are a nation that people don't want to go to the farm, then you, in my opinion, you have to creatively figure out how to farm as if it were like a contract. The same way you call companies, Julius Berger and all of them, and give them contracts for roads that you are not even going to supervise well, then we are better go and get farming companies to come and create big, big farms in certain locations to first of all create the food that we will eat. And then we must normalize the situation where states in the subnational will have their own storehouses. I mean, imagine if it was this era that Joseph and Pharaoh were living, with the way these people are behaving, they would not have even been able to figure out that in the years of plenty, let us save, and in the years of little, let us. You need to figure out that. Then you need to understand that you can't have a nation that treats crime other than crime. I do not like the ethnic coloration of crime. If somebody in Yoruba land, for instance, is to go and do all this ritual killing, I expect them to just call him a ritual killer, a criminal, and then put his name there and get him arrested, get him tried, and get him killed or whatever it is that the law says. But I do not expect them to say Yoruba people are killing. If somebody is doing the kinds of madness that is going on in the South, is that my heart used to break thinking that to myself, that how can anybody look at the Southeasterners and say that these are a people that he will say they shouldn't go out to work on Monday, a people whose adrenaline is work, a people whose entire, essence is creating value. Now, I wouldn't have anybody call it any other name but crime. And of course, I will not tolerate anybody coming to tell me that there is a Fulani, Hausa, Islam reason why a human being will just willfully go and kill people, kidnap people, go to people's schools and go and kidnap them. If I have to invade our neighbors, I will invade them, our neighbors, because they will have to explain to me why is it possible for people in the Sahel, all this Libya, blah, 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 stories they are telling me, why is it happening in my country and it's not happening in theirs? And if I have to get us out of all these protocols of free movement, so be it. Because every civilization must preserve itself. And if I cannot preserve us, only because some people are going to come in, strolling from one country, come and do madness here, stroll back, I won't be president and take such a nonsense from anybody. The world will have to understand that now it's enough. You have killed enough of my people, I'm done. Then I think that there's no way I'm going to be leading here. You won't have a low Earth orbit satellite, resolution of less than 10 meters to be looking at this light, morning, afternoon, night. And one of the only assignments I will give the governors immediately is the lighting up of their areas. They might not be able to light up the bush, light up the pathway for me. So that when I have a low Earth orbit satellite and people are looking at it, when you want to take somebody, you want to grab, they can see. If your car is registered, we can see. If it's unregistered, we can see. We can trail your movement by either even your heat sensors and all that, and we can have enough, containment theory before you escape. And what betide you if you go to my neighboring country? Then if war is the necessity there. But what has happened in our country is that, first, I'm not convinced that for some time now, most of the people that have been leading, they have only been doing so based on wanting to be ambitious. And when you are ambitious, at some point in time, you're going to ask yourself, okay, really, what is the end of this game? Is the end of I want to be president that you sit down and they be calling you commander-in-chief, your children will be doing anyhow, you'll be pandering favors, you forget about the diversity in the country to stabilize your governmental power by making sure that every part of the country can feel equal? Why are you going to give your people all of the position you give them, and then you're going to be looking for what you can give to the dogs so that it can be given to the others? People are not fools. You either want to have a united country that all of us can feel like Nigerians, or you want to have your sectional arrangements. If you want to be a sectional person, not a problem with me. Just stay in your state. I do not expect the governor of, for bent of a better, I don't expect the governor of Borno, for instance, to start wasting his energy about what's happening in Lagos. He should fix his Borno. So if you want to be tribal as a governor, go and be tribal. But I don't expect anybody to come and tell us he wants to be president of Nigeria if his understanding or his fundamental objective principle of governance is tribalism. That's too bad, because for the time that you are there, you're going to ruffle the free nerves in our country. And when you do that, you don't even know the extent to which how deep it goes, and you may not be able to call it back. And by the time you are done, which you will be done, whenever your time is, either you finish 4 years or you don't, max, you do your 8 years, do you really want to live with a world where power moves to another section and then they now double down on this kind of nonsense? You can't have a country like that. So I think that the Nigerian nation that I vision is a nation that answers to everybody in the country. The Nigerian nation that I envision is a nation that goes back and asks itself, what is its foreign policy objective now? How can I have a nation where nations are determining their own foreign policy objective? Russia is doing this, America is thinking about this, Britain is getting out of Brexit, and getting out of this, but they don't want to be in the EU. Brazil is setting up an arrangement, and then Asian countries are doing this, Dubai and Israel is doing this, Middle East is doing this, Israel is doing this. Everybody is doing whatever they want based on what they consider to be the objective, directive principle of foreign policy. And then I, as president of Nigeria, will not have a directive principle of a policy that helps the black one. I can give you one very quickly. If I become president of this country, I'm going to normalize that all the people that are black, especially in America and some of those other diasporan black countries, they have a right to citizenship here if they want to come under certain rules, so that they can just have an idea of an ancestral homeland. Do you know the amount of things that will just happen in this country only based on that? And if you ask me why, I'll ask you, why should Nigerians be able to have dual citizenship? You can have British passport, the French passport, Nigerian. Why can't I also say that, knowing fully well that they are descendants of slaves who have also left Africa, if they want to come back home, symbolically to have something that allows them to know this is where we come from, I can do that. Now, do you know the amount of creativity, the amount of power, the amount of industry, the amount of money, the amount of know-how that they're just going to bring in just by that? I'm not going to dash them land for free, but I'm not going to give them land that they can't really access or use. Do you know the amount of turnaround you can do with that? Leaders must, in my opinion, understand that every opportunity to lead, if God, because we're praying people, gives you, or the people give you an opportunity to lead, leaders must understand that the way I see it is that it's an opportunity for immortality. And you can never be immortalized by brick and wall, no. You can only be immortalized by the profound ideas and the kinds of things you do and why you did them for the greater good of your people. If you do them as you should do them, with the amount of humongous powers, opportunity, and responsibility that are available on your shoulder, and you woke up every damn day trying to be fair to your people, if they don't get it at first, they'll get it eventually. And when they do get it, can you imagine if you now take the energy of 220 million people behind an idea that we all get it? Because this is where we're going. Our Jordan is here. All of us can see it. Everybody knows what he has to do there, and everybody's working. It may take some time, but at least we'll know where we're going. Where are we going now? They're just philandering left, philandering right, going up and down the place.
I was for the government.
Well, I say that Bola Tinubu's presidency has numbed and humbled me. In one breath, I'm a PDP man. I've never really been in that there thing. But I didn't think in my wildest dream that they could behave the way they are behaving. At first, when we started out, I thought that putting their feet to the fire and calling them out was the right thing to inspire them. But I have become convinced that they are uninspirable because over and above that, they are so damn incompetent. They are exceedingly arrogant. They have elephantine egos that doesn't even allow them to see what you are trying to show them as the right way or what they need to push back on. And unfortunately, he has the peculiar luck of having what you can call a perfect civilian dictatorship. He has large numbers of governors in his party, tick. He has a majority Senate, tick. He has a majority rep, tick. He has significant investment in the real estate of the media, tick. He has a history of, relationship with the judiciary, even with his Yoruba man being this tick. And when you couple it down, you also see that for some reason, in an environment where people are poor, he has also amassed, I don't have his rap sheet, a lot of money within himself and his cronies that is strought on this land as though we do not know how little they had at the start of this republic. Now, when you have all of that, the challenge for the country is that you can say what you want, and that's their attitude, but they won't even move. First is first. Let's start from the Ningi one. If a senator stands up in the Senate to say the sort of thing that Ningi is alleging, the first thing that the sensible Senate president will have to know is that you have to first of all complete the business of investigation before you commence the business of punishing him for being a whistleblower. If you look at the joke that they did there, everybody was just talking, they were genuflexing, they were filibustering, they were faffing about and all that, and the next thing we heard is that he's been suspended. This country, leave that. When they kill people by accident, once you want to deploy technology as a means of, security and all that, you expect a special investigative panel to look at things and tell you precisely what happened, why, and who's responsible, and how do we ensure that nothing of that will happen again. Nothing. When they started running a disgraceful arrangement where the protocol arrangement to greet and shake people in foreign trip became one that unelected, unappointed kids are standing before the leaders of a train, a governmental train, ministers and what have you. You kind of know that this is not how this country is envisaged. Then when you see the commander-in-chief, that's the president now, when he comes to talk, there's something about body language in communication, for those of you who know anything about communication. If you are sorry and you are empathetic, there's a way you speak. But when you are taking out something, you will know that they're so far away from the consequences of their action and inaction that you just wonder, who are these people? And when you come and say, you have taken over government from your party and your party man, and you normalize blaming the people that left. You started out by blaming the PDP years for your incompetence. And after about 8 years, you have even now gone and done the most unthinkable. You have started blaming, in fact, you have continually blamed your successor from your party as the reason why things are. So you just feel that politics, the people, the people. Do you not know that a people will get a leader that they picked themselves? Okay, yes, there will be errors of, they rigged, they didn't rig and all that. The people who will participate in the whole grand swell that will install a president, a governor, anybody, are the people themselves. Whatever humans had to do, whatever they did, if the groundswell in the country was against it, it won't happen now. You can't rig against the will of 220 million people. One of the reasons why these things are possible is that for some reason, citizens of our country have normalized not participating. And that doesn't help us. Yes, it's difficult, but how difficult is just one day out of 4 years? One day. Wake up in the morning, take your PVC, just go there. You don't have to do anything. Accredit yourself. Wait, they'll give you the paper. Vote for somebody that can carry all our dreams and our aspirations. And then wait and see that the vote is counted. Max one day. Max, it's not even up to a full day because they're not going to do it in the dark hours and they're not going to do it in the early hours before dawn. So you just have like a couple of hours. And if that is too much to give for the sake of all of us, where would that lead us? So I think that the government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to their credit, well, I like to be fair, they inherited some issues which has to do with our, all of us, you, I, and everybody in the country, the collective carelessness over the years. And there's just so much that a nation can take. And when there are policies, the type of policies that you kind of like say, they are talking about GDP, you would have asked that, how can a people with a large population be speaking about an imaginary number created for benchmark by developed countries, and that is what they are chasing? It doesn't matter if their people are bleeding to death. They must be mad. No nation that wants to move from its sorry state to its big state does it that way. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore did not run it that way, and they moved from third world to first world. Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping of China did not run it that way, and now they're the most financially liquid, probably, even if we are going to be fair to them, at least the most improved country in the world. Brazil of Lula did not move that way. And now they're growing the economy at, significant digits. I mean, one day I heard the Brazilian president say something and I was just marveled. I said, wow, this is leadership. He said, while I was away, I heard that children now steal other children's sneakers. Oh, forgive me. I'm going to compel the Brazilian industry to create enough sneakers, and every child will have his own sneaker so that nobody has to steal another person's sneakers. Just think about the thought process of a leader, that rather than you stealing your own, I'll make sure that everybody gets one. Rather than you people stealing the phones of foreigners, I'll make sure that we use our industry to create phones and make it good and make sure that you guys can afford it and have it so you don't even have to steal it. Leaders don't sit down thinking about the foolish things that our own leaders are thinking about. Leaders don't play to the gallery. Leaders really worry and agonize about the problem and the circumstances. I visited him again after he had become president. He had not even used 1 year. And guess what I heard from his chief of staff? His chief of staff was telling him something like, oh, that the biggest burden on their mind. I said, what is it? He said, after they came back into power, they've been there before and then they lost and they came back. He said, after they came back into power, they saw the amount of decay, just like anybody that takes over power sees, that has happened in their country. And they started asking themselves. They weren't saying, we blame him. They weren't saying, we blame the citizen. You know what they were saying to themselves? They were saying to themselves that, did we fail to communicate and educate our people to such a level that it is even possible and probable for them to fall victim to this? Imagine them taking responsibility that the people even fell victim to a government that did not even mean well for the people. That's how to lead. Leaders take responsibility, even for things that they could not have directly been responsible. Just the marginal imagination that the whole essence of leadership is to make sure that your people are so egalitarian, but not here. In our own system, we have a presidency that has now become a retirement home for sick people. We have a presidency that is now the empire of the family, the president, his wife, and his children. We have a presidency that has even upset even the small little balance of north and south in the country. Imagine senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria standing in this floor of the Senate just because Ningi has spoken and is from the north. Rather than them deal with the issue, they interpreted it that the next thing that they have to go and do is go and form a Southern Senators Forum and begin to do whatever the hell they like. They were talking as if it was a direct attack at Akpabio because only wires was there. What kind of people are these? What kind of people are these? And then when you ask, how did they even become the leaders of our country? when people like me are still here existing, screaming and shouting and trying to inspire people that better is possible. When people like Peter are here, with everything about Peter, you kind of like feel that, oh, Peter, at least you know he's not going to steal your money. Even if that was the only reason why you guys are going to vote for him, aside the fact that you're going to normalize the fact that there's no reason why an Igbo man cannot be president in a country that we all share. Why didn't you? Why would you leave somebody who is trying? I'm not saying it's perfect, don't get me wrong. Why would you leave somebody who is living his life in such a frugal manner, who is trying to just be so frugal and reasonable, who is talking about let us cut down? Why would you leave that one for a covetous rogue?
What can Peter win in 27?
The dynamics of power is such that we will have to unbundle Peter. We will have to, if he wants. Nobody's going to, at my level, nobody's going to chase after Peter like a nursery school child. But we can decouple Peter as an idea, sit with him, refix it and repair the lines, and return him to the Nigerian people as a movement that all of us will live everywhere we are and say, on this pit, on this rock, we are going to die, if that is what is to be required. But for us to do that, there's so much that we need to unbundle in Peter. For one, we need to figure out a way to let his supporters understand that you can't be angry with the other people. Everybody is angry. You're not the only one angry. But you need to tone it down. You need to tone it down. If you tone it down a bit, on the principal issues, be firm. But all this, your mother wore naked dress, my father eats better, can cook better soup, all these kinds of jargons, what's that going to bring on? It's only going to make you more insular. And the more insular you are, the more people fall back to their tribal lines. And why should a civilization that has created a culture of being responsible for themselves, their children, and their family, and the environment, why should they be banding words with a civilization that raises kids without plan for growing them or even looking after them? Why? If it is democracy, you will still have to manage them, and you cannot be too perfect for the people you want to lead. So you must have to figure out that. So I think that it all depends on what we do in the next 1 year. Peter is too isolated by himself, the way he likes to do things. It's always all about just one Peter. Peter is the one who believes in the idea that he is frugal and everybody is a rogue. Peter is the one who believes that he is religious and everybody is not. We need to unbundle that. Peter is too clannish. You look at this infrastructure that Peter ran. People ran it with him, and we get feedbacks. His worldview cannot just be Newi, Anambra, and Gulu, and all that. No. You cannot lead a multidimensional, multicultural environment if people cannot find Asan with you, Kunle with you, Shegun with you, Etim with you, as part of your you. And it cannot be only that, I look at them and I smile at what they're doing. They're looking to create alliances that they think can give them numbers. Instead of them, to let us build the head coach that will pull all the other wagon. What do I mean by that? You can't want to be president and not fix the party. People must feel that is either that party is in can be reformed or it dumps it and let's get a reform party. People must be ideologically connected to the vision. Nobody is going to run on only production, the conductor, and production, the conduction. It's not going to work that way.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.